Hello students, I am Shreya, your English teacher from Kendriya Vidyalaya, Tibrikan, Gurdaspur. Today we will be doing an interesting topic of grammar, that is reported speech, which is also known by the name of direct and indirect speech. So let's get started. So students, what do we mean by direct and indirect speech? So here the speech of the person can be narrated by somebody in two ways, that is direct speech and indirect speech. Let us understand the difference with these two examples. Nitin said, I am happy now. The statement can also be said another way, that Nitin said that he was happy then. The meaning of the sentence of the two different sentences is same, but that there is a change in the structure of the sentence. So please make sure that the meaning of the sentence, while you're changing from direct to indirect, there will be no change in the meaning of the sentence. However, there will be change in the structure of the sentence. So if you look at the first one, the exact words of Nitin are quoted. That means the direct words with the inverted commas are quoted. However, in the second one, the words of the Nitin are quoted without inverted commas, and that is why it is called as indirect speech. When the words are quoted without the quotation marks, it is called as indirect speech. Okay, so now look here. This said, that is the verb which is outside the inverted commas, is called as reporting verb, and the sentence, the part of the sentence which is inside the inverted commas, is known as the reported speech. So anything which is inside the inverted commas or quotation marks will be called as reported speech. So now let's look at the changes, how you have to change the structure of the sentence while you're changing from direct to indirect. So Nitin said, I am happy now. And in indirect we see that it is written, Nitin said that he was happy then. So what are the changes? Let's list them down, and we can see there are 5 changes from direct to indirect. The first one being the punctuation. That is, we remove the quotation when we change from direct to indirect. So basically we have to just remove the quotation marks. Second, that there is a change in the tense. We'll talk about this in further slides, but for now there is a change in the tense. So this present tense is becoming the past tense. Coming over to the next change, there is this change of pronoun. So this change of pronoun will take place in the reported speech, that is whatever is inside the quotation marks. So I here is becoming he. Coming over to the next change, comma becomes connective. So instead of comma, what we're using is that. Next change is the change of the words. So you can see that now have changed into then. So this reported speech, there will be certain words which will be changed, and now is changed into then. Okay, now we'll have a look at how do we change the tense in reported speech. So when the reporting verb, what do we mean by reporting verb? This said, which is outside the inverted commas. The reporting verb, if it is in past tense, for example here said, there will be a change in the tense. However, if the reporting verb is in present or in the future tense, for example, if instead of said it would have been says here, then it would have been present tense. So, if it is in the present tense or future tense, says or will say, there will be no change in the tense. Similarly, in the reported speech, that is whatever is inside the inverted commas, if it is a habit, proverb or universal truth, there will be no change in the tense. So whatever is inside the inverted commas, that is reported speech, if it happens to be habit, proverb or universal truth, we will not make any change in the tense. So how the change will take place in the tense? So we'll be studying about the change in the tense. So present tense changes into past tense. So any sentence which is in the present tense will change into its corresponding past tense. So what do I mean when I say this? That simple present will change into simple past, present continuous will change into past continuous, then present perfect will change into past perfect, and present perfect continuous will change into past perfect continuous. Easy? So present tense changes into its correspondent past tense. So for example, eat will change into ate, is Amar eating, was were eating, has have eaten into had eaten, okay, and has have been eating into had been eating. Okay, so what about the other tenses? If there is simple past, it will change into past perfect. So for example, ate will change into had eaten. Why? Because simple past will change into past perfect. And another one, past continuous changes to past perfect continuous. So what can be the example here? That was eating into had been eating, right? So what we have done here, we have made certain changes with respect to tenses. So what are they? First is present will change into its corresponding past. Second, simple past will change into past perfect. And third is past continuous will change into past perfect continuous. And the past perfect will remain same. Similarly, past perfect continuous will remain same as past perfect continuous. Now, there will be certain change in the modal auxiliaries also. So, can will be changed into could, will shall be changed into would, shall into should, may into might. So now we will just look at some sentences which will clarify you about the change in the tense and the modal auxiliaries. Okay, so coming over to the very first example, here Aditya said, I am writing a book. So what is the reporting speech here? This is the reported speech and this is your reporting verb, correct? Now we can see that here this is the past form, right? So if this is in the past tense, we will make the change in the tense inside the inverted commas, that is in the reported speech. So coming over here to here, what I'm talking about is if the reporting verb is in past tense, that is said, there will be a change in the tense. So we will be changing the tense. So Aditya said, I am writing a book. So this will changed into This tense is present continuous, so it will change into past continuous. And we are removing the inverted commas, and what we are putting that. So Aditya said that he was writing a book. Now again we have talked about the change in the pronouns. So I is being referred for Aditya, and Aditya happens to be a male. So Aditya said that he was writing a book. Okay, so coming over to the next example, Nitesh said to Krishan, I have been trying to sing since years. So again, here we have a change, said to. So instead of said to, what we'll use? Told. Okay, again, this is in past tense. So there will be the change in the tense inside the inverted commas. That is the reported speech. So Nitesh told Krishan. Now we are removing this comma and the punctuation, and we are writing that. Now this I is being referred for Nitesh. So that he had been trying to dance since years. Okay, so coming over to the next example, Mansi said, I spoke to the teacher yesterday. So Mansi said, which is past tense, that is why we'll change the tense of the reported speech. So Mansi said that we are using because we are removing the comma. She had spoken to the teacher the previous day. So why we have made she had spoken? Because this is simple past, and simple past changes into which tense? Past perfect. Okay, so now coming over to the next example, the teacher said a stitch in time saves 9. Again, this said as being in past tense means that we'll have to change the tense in the reported speech. However, if you see this, you can see that we have not made any change in the reported speech. Why is it so? Because this is a proverb. A stitch in time saves 9 is a proverb, and that is why we will not change the tense. Look here, reported speech, if it is a habit, proverb or universal truth, then we are not changing the tense. So that is why we have not made any change in the test. However, we have just placed that to remove the comma. Now the next example, she says, I'll put my best efforts to win. Now see, because this is in present tense, right? As this is in present tense, we will not change the tense of the reported speech. So she says that instead of comma, she says that she will put her best efforts to win. So there is no change of the tense. Why? Because the reporting verb says this is in present tense, and if it is in present or future tense, we will not change the tense of the reported speech. I hope that it is clear to you. Coming over to the next thing, that is change in the pronoun. So we can follow this rule 1, 2, 3 SON, a very simple rule. With what is it? 1, 2, 3 SON. So how will the change in pronoun takes place in the reported speech? Now, what do we mean by 1, 2, 3 SON? Let's understand the meaning. 1 means the first person, 2 means the second person, 3 means the third person. Alright, and S here means the subject, O means the object, and N means there is no change. So 1, 2, 3 SON. 1 refers to the first person, 2 refers to the second person, 3 refers to the third person, and SON. S is for subject, O is for object, and N means there will be no change. Also, a very important thing that you will have to consider is that now the subject means the speaker, object will be always a listener here, and N is automatically no change. Now when we are talking about the 1, 2, 3, that is first person, second person or third person, it refers to the inside whatever is written inside the quotation marks. Okay, and while we are referring to the SON, it means we are referring to outside the quotation mark, because obviously the speaker and listener, the subject and object, is outside the quotation marks. So here I'll explain you this through an example. So look here, he said to her, I don't know where they have seen you. So now here, this is the subject, this is your object. Okay, so now we'll be making certain changes. So now I don't know where they have seen you. So first change will be, you will change said to into told. So he told her, by removing the comma you're putting that. And now look, this I, this is first person, right? So this first person is being used for the speaker. So we will use what? He. That he don't know will change into didn't know. Why? Because present into past. So he didn't know where they. They is the third person here, and it will remain same, no change. So that he didn't know where they had seen her. Why her now again? Because this is the second person, and second person is being referred here for the object. So simple rule you have to apply. 1, 2, 3 SON. 1, 2, 3 SON. So first person will be subject, second person object, third person no change. Okay. Now we shall look at one more example here. My teacher said to me. So my teacher will be your subject. To me, me is your object. You shall not enter the class. Now look here. My teacher said to will change into told. This you're already clear. This is very clear to you. So now my teacher told that I should not enter the class. Now look here. This you. This is what? Second person. So second person is being referred for me here. So that means you will use I. So my teacher told that I shall will change into should. I should not enter the class. So here only it is second person, and we will have to refer second person for this object. Okay, now how do we change certain words? We'll have a look over that. Now will change into then. This will change into that. Ago into before. Today, that day. Yesterday into the previous day. Here into there. These into those. Tomorrow into the next day. Last night into the previous night. If the usage is said sorry, you can write apologized. Said thank you, you will change it into thanked. Said goodbye, you can change it into bade goodbye. Said hello, so you can change it into greeted. Said yes, so you can either say agreed or you can say replied in the affirmative. Similarly, if you said no, disagreed, replied in the negative. Now we'll see the very last thing about the reported speech, the changes with respect to reported speech. Use of connective and a suitable reporting verb. So this will depend on what? This will depend on the type of sentence which is there inside the reported speech. So looking here, we have four types of sentences, that is declarative, interrogative, imperative and exclamatory. Declarative, also known by the name of assertive or statement based. Okay. So now this, whenever we are talking about a sentence which is declarative, you will use told in place of said to, and you will use which conjunction or connective, that. In the case of interrogative, interrogative sentences are of two types, WH how questions, or that can be answered in yes or no. So if the sentence is asking you about the WH how questions, you will use asked, and if the question is based on yes or no answer, you will use inquired. Similarly, for imperative sentence, you will use requested or ordered, and for exclamatory, you will use exclaimed. And what are the changes in connectives or conjunctions here? In declarative, that, and in interrogative, if it is the WH how questions, there will be no change, and if it is yes no, you will use if or whether, any of them is correct. Also, one more change is question mark will change into full stop. Imperative, what conjunction you will use? To, and in exclamatory, that. I hope it is understood. Now we'll understand this chart through the examples. So now look at the first example. She said to me, why did you cancel the meeting yesterday? Now this is WH question. Okay, so you will write said to will change into what? Asked. Why? We are following this rule here. WH how question, you will use asked here. She asked me why I had cancelled the meeting the day before. Yesterday changes into the day before. Why did you? Did you will change into I had. Why? Because this is what? This is your second person, and second person refers to the object, and your object is me. So that is why we are using I. And this is a simple past tense. So simple past will change into past perfect, right? So that is why we have used had cancelled. I think it is clear. Moving on to the next example. Deepak said to Vimal, I am going to Chennai tomorrow. So this is a which type of a sentence? Declarative sentence. So instead of said to, you will use that. Oh, sorry. Said to, you will use told. So Deepak told Vimal that, this is the conjunction that, I am going to Chennai tomorrow. This I is used for Deepak or Vimal here. This is first person. First person for the subject. So it is for Deepak. So Deepak told Vimal that he, this is now a present continuous tense. It will change into past continuous. So Deepak told Vimal that he was going to Chennai the next day. Alright, coming over to the next example. Vikram said, Krishna, please lend me your book. So this is which type of sentence? Imperative sentence, because there is a request. So what you will use instead of said? Requested here. So Vikram requested Krishna to lend him his book. Understood? The very last example. She said how fantastic Amir is. Now this is exclamation mark. That means it is a exclamatory sentence. So you will use exclaimed instead of said here. So she exclaimed that Amir was indeed fantastic. I hope that it is very clear to you. There are basically 5 changes taking place. First is the change in the punctuations, secondly the change in the tense, third the change in the pronouns, and fourth is your change in the connectives or conjunction, and fifth is the change of certain words. I hope that you feel a bit more confident about the topic reported speech, and we'll further continue some examples or the way the questions are asked in the examination in the next part of the video.